Hello and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren and today I'm looking at another TierZoo video. This one is our crows OP. I love crows. I think they're so interesting. Corvids in general are really cool. Crows are so smart. They can talk. They can use tools when needed. Like, they can remember faces, and understand that as a human grows from like a child to an adult, they can still recognize them. They can teach other people to recognize people who have hurt them. Crows are brilliant, and I find them very interesting. So I am very much looking forward to learning even more about them in this video. I would say crows are not OP. I would say crows are just perfect. Before I get any further in this, though, I want to thank a couple of our channel members. Thank you so much for helping support the channel. Thanks to Pterodactylus. Thanks to Joe Fravel, Jonathan H, AK Arbiter 391, Gary Guru, and Benjamin Huss. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot to us, and you know, it allows us to do more videos and hire more folks and get more people in and reacting to your favorite things. So, and the members also allow me to do things like watch a lot more music reactions, which I can almost never monetize at all. So people being channel members, that really helps that sort of thing as well. And I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get into TierZoo. Don't forget to like and subscribe his channel as well as this one if you want to see more stuff like this.
They just don't know it. Hit him from behind.
Got him. Goosed.
Stop looking at me. Attack!
Yes.
For the enemy. We've lost control of the command post.
Smart.
Primates are notorious for their incredibly broken intelligence stat, which grants them access to incredible advanced techniques such as tool use, coordinated team strategy,
They figured out
even bartering and trade.
sauce?
Primates are not the only faction in the game with a high intelligence stat.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories about, I've heard about crows doing that too. Like, not, you know, like this, what the little squirrel, whatever this thing is doing. Monkey? It's a monkey. I don't know why I said squirrel. I receive your candy bar, you receive your sunglasses. I'll trade you. Oh God. But look, I feel like I've heard of crows doing that kind of thing too. Like, you offer them nuts and seeds and stuff, and then they eventually give you a $20 bill.
But primates are not the only faction in the game with a high intelligence stat. Cetacean, cephalopod, and bird mains also commonly opt not to spec into powerful damage-dealing abilities,
Shoebill.
and instead invest into leveling up their brain power skill tree. While this does seem like a risky choice, leaving the player more vulnerable in direct 1v1 combat, in actuality this often results in a much less risky playthrough, as the player's intelligence opens up more options for them to progress that don't require winning in combat. This is especially true of the bird faction, as their ability to fly already allows them to quickly escape most unfavorable combat encounters.
Oh, stole that fish
Today,
from that
we're going
cat.
to discuss one of the two main intelligence-centered bird builds, the faction that contains crows, ravens, and magpies, the Corvid.
Corvids!
Focus mostly on crows as an example, but generally what I say in this video should apply to most Corvids. First, let's discuss their stats, as well as the abilities and strategies that exemplify them.
Also, I think that I'm just like partial, like honestly, not gonna lie, I've liked Corvids, especially like ravens is what I started liking, but that was because I grew up in Baltimore, so I was like, it just sort of happened that like they are actually really cool birds. And like, so there's like a place in my heart for them just because of that. And then as I've gotten older and learned more about them, I'm just like, they're freaking brilliant. Like Corvids, crows, just in general, so smart.
We'll begin with their stealth stat, which Corvids aren't particularly excellent in. The most popular Corvid skins are either jet black or piebald, neither of which grant the user that strong of a stealth bonus. In fact, in snowy areas, jet black feathers are actually one of the least effective choices when trying to remain hidden. A dark
Shocking.
appearance is most effective as camouflage at night, but crows and other Corvids are not nocturnal builds, so they aren't really gaining this benefit from it. Now, granted, stealth typically isn't all that important for birds, given how agile and vigilant they are.
Fair.
Plenty of other high-tier avian builds, like for example parrots, are arguably some of the least stealthy birds in the game, and they do just fine. You could even argue that corvids are even less stealthy than their black feathers initially appear, as their iridescence actually makes them even easier to see for certain other players, typically other birds. Ultimately, I think it's safe to say
They're so pretty,
an
though.
important part of their game plan. At least nowhere near as important as it is for ambush predator builds, like the owl. The main predators a crow needs to...
But, like, aren't crows, like, 10,000 times smarter than owls? Like, sorry, owls, but I recently read something about it, and it was like, owls are basically eyes, and then, the wind whistles through their ears. Like, they are dumb. I don't know how... I'm not a bird expert by any means, but that is what I have heard, that owls are very dumb. Very, very dumb.
To worry about are raptors. And because of the raptor's keen eyesight ability, it's unlikely having a higher stealth stat would make much of a difference anyway. The
Slap.
crow's defense and constitution stats are fairly average for a bird, which is to say not great. Birds have hollow bones, and their feathers offer fairly little in terms of defense. Feathers do absorb some blunt force damage, but when it comes to slashing and piercing damage, it's nearly useless. And because of their hollow bones, which make them more vulnerable to blunt force damage, the benefit there kind of cancels out as well. Snakes, cats, raccoons, raptors, and dogs all have a high chance of taking a crow out in one hit, so they cannot let their guard down when interacting with any damage dealer builds. Given that their playstyle necessitates taking some risk, crow players definitely wish they had more room for error. Thankfully, their next stat makes it pretty easy to avoid damage.
I've seen this image.
The crow's mobility
so many
above
times.
average for a mid-sized bird, which is to say excellent. Birds in general are just extremely agile, both on the ground and in the air,
Dang.
making them extremely hard to land an attack on if they see you coming. Some bird builds, like geese and junglefowl,
Leroy
require significant
Jenkins.
startup in order to
I will say I like the memes in this one and the references. It's been a while since I've thought of Leroy Jenkins.
get airborne, meaning that they can't rely on their flight to escape danger if the danger is already right in front of them. Crows are not one of these bird builds, and in contrast, the startup on their flight move has some shockingly broken frame data, and allows them to quickly and easily reposition themselves in basically any direction in 3D space.
30 to 60 miles an
Their
hour?
ability to dodge attacks one of the best in the entire game, and makes what would normally be fairly dangerous positions, such as right next to a powerful predator, quite safe as long as the Corvid doesn't use any laggy moves. This synergizes well with the Corvid's combat moveset, as we'll discuss in a moment.
Was he attacking geese? Geese are so mean. I love that this like vulture is just like a
As long as the
hoof.
Corvid doesn't use any laggy moves. This synergizes
I think he's just straight up attacking geese. Geese have teeth, Corvid. What are you
well
doing?
with the Corvid's combat moveset, as we'll discuss in a moment. Corvids are blessed with many high stats, but power is not one of them. Their ability to deal damage is one of the weakest in their weight class, as their only attack option is a simple pecking strike. This move has quick startup and very little end lag, but its damage is egregiously low. Simply attacking with this move will deal minimal damage to anything larger than an insect. Most players will be able to ignore this attack's damage.
that
However,
does
this
not
doesn't mean
care.
the crow's attacks are useless.
Oh my god, it
Just means
goosed
they've
its
gotta be
freaking
clever about how they
butthole.
use them. A well-placed peck.
Oh my god, right in the butthole.
Most players will be
We're
able to
watching that.
ignore
I'm
this
sorry.
attack.
I'm nasty. I'm
However,
nasty,
this
y'all.
doesn't mean a crow's attacks are useless. It just means they've got to be clever about how they use them. A well-placed peck can provoke an attack, and if you're able to move out of the way quick enough, the enraged player will end up being forced to lash out at whoever just happens to be nearby, and create an opening for the Corvid player to capture an objective, steal some loot, or escape treasure. It might
Nice.
seem like a jank strategy, but really this is the bread and butter of Corvid gameplay, and can lead to massive swings in advantage. The chance to afflict the enraged status effect scales with the user's intelligence stat, so the reason this strategy works so well is that the Corvid's intelligence stat
I love
is
that, like-
ridiculously high for a non-primate build.
I love that the cats are looking at each other. The bird is poking the cat in the butt, and yet they still attack the other cat.
Corvids are tied with parrots for the highest intelligence stat in the entire avian faction. And in addition to enabling the goading strike moveset, having high intelligence grants Corvids access to a lot of other powerful techniques too, including the ability to use tools. Tool use is one of the most notoriously powerful abilities in the entire game, and in crows this is no less true. By using hook-shaped wooden sticks, crows can score kills on grubs that are normally safe from everything except for woodpecker attacks. And given how many expensive niche perks woodpecker
Woodpecker skills. Pesher? I don't know what that is. Woodpecker skills. Cranial cushion to like stop their little, that's their tongue or something around their brain, right? So that they can just go forever. Chisel-like beak, jackhammer frequency, sawduck's protection eyelid. I didn't know about that. Vertical bracing feet. Oh, that's cool. Shock absorbing muscle, stabilization tail, nostril filtration system, grappling tongue. Okay, 2 of those things, the sawdust protection eyelid and the nostril filtration system. Brilliant. I did not know about those, but they make perfect sense.
Woodpeckers need to spec into in order to perform these sorts of drilling attacks. The ability to bypass all of that investment while still gaining the same rewards is a huge boon to the crows.
That video is really cool to watch too. The full video of this. Sorry to like keep glancing around. It's raining outside and I keep thinking that it's a knock at my door. So I get startled and then I'm like, oh no, it's just the rain. But anyway, the full video for this thing is really, really cool. Like you see the bird try several times with different size sticks, I think, to like find the one that works. It's great.
But high intelligence has far more benefits than just allowing crows to copy the success of hyper-specialized builds. Arguably the most important benefit is team tactics. This is what allows baboons to fight off lions, what allows ants to bring down tarantulas, and what allows wolves to prey upon bison. When crows work together, they can capture territory and control points of interest that they'd otherwise be helpless to defend. They can even rescue each other from what would otherwise be guaranteed lethal attacks, using a tactic called mobbing. Mobbing is a strategy most commonly seen in birds, consisting of bombarding a single target with a barrage of both physical and sonic attacks. On their own, these would be easy to shrug off, but when you're getting pecked at and screeched at from all directions at once, it inflicts heavy physical and psychic damage. This is what allows social corvids, like magpies and crows, to successfully chase away predators several times their size. Ravens, on the other hand, tend not to really need the help, as they're large enough to handle most opponents.
They're pretty big, yeah. Ravens are shockingly huge, by the way. Like, they are big birds. They're, like, you can see this one is almost the size of this cat. Like, they're shockingly big. Also they have like, I think they've got one more pinion feather than a crow does. Like people will be like, what's the difference between a raven and a crow? The joke is it's a difference of opinion because one of them has an extra one, but also ravens are bigger. Like, so if you see a bird, you're not sure if it's a raven or a crow, determine is it the size of a cat? If it is, then it's a raven.
But can still team up in order to lock down a good source of carrion. Alternatively, they may even ally themselves with wolf players, leading them to
I've heard of this too.
Letting them do the work fighting off their competition before sharing in the rewards. Anyway, that's a basic overview of the Corvid build. Now let's talk about their matchups. The Corvid matchup chart is heavily dependent on how effective their goading strike and mobbing techniques are against a given target. Luckily, because of how high the Corvid's intelligence stat is, the list of targets goading strike works against is quite long. It is best against builds with lower intelligence stats. Things like vultures, things like reptiles, and things like rodents. What's more, this technique even works on one of the Corvid's 2 primary threats, feline builds. Deadly as cats are, they're often quite reactive and easily aggroed, so goading strike is the perfect tool to redirect their ferocity. This move is admittedly less effective against the Corvid's other main concern, raptors. However, thankfully the mobbing technique is quite effective against raptors, so for both of their main threats, the crow players have options. The only builds these techniques aren't that effective against are other high intelligence builds, such as monkeys and parrots. Because of their extremely strong social bonding and top-tier intelligence stat, parrots are highly resistant to psychic damage and do not turn on each other easily. When pestered by a corvid, they are likely to defend each other fiercely using their own, more powerful beaks and louder shrieks. One-on-one, they're fairly evenly matched, so it tends to just come down to size. But in groups, corvids tend to have difficulty forcing parrots away from an objective. As for monkeys, their higher HP allows them to more easily ignore the pecking attacks of a crow. And they're used to getting their tails tugged all the time by their own party members, so a crow doing it is unlikely to provoke a punishable response. Crows and parrots have an interesting dynamic. I've said in previous videos that I believe parrots to be the more viable build. They have higher dexterity with their beaks, their sonic shriek attack is incredibly effective, they're more social, and arguably more intelligent even. And yet, of the 2 most intelligent bird builds, there's no denying that in the city biome, corvids are much more successful. I think the reason for this is that even though parrots are indeed more powerful on their own, and are better at using most tools than crows are. Crows are better at using the most important tool, other players. From provoking attacks and redirecting aggression, to using passing vehicles to deal damage for them and unlock high-value loot, Corvids are the best of the best when it comes to using other build strengths to cover for their own shortcomings. And if the human build's dominance is any indication, co-opting the strengths of less intelligent builds is one of the strongest strategies you can possibly execute in the game. And it's for this reason that Corvids sit proudly in S tier.
Good job,
Speaking of
S
builds with
tier
a high
birds.
success rate within the city biome, another creature that thrives in cities is the centipede. With their quick, twitchy movement and flat shape, they have no trouble weaving through all of the nooks and crannies common in urban environments.
Okay, that was just not fair. Why do we have to watch a centipede? They're so weird. Ugh. I had a roommate once who accidentally drank half a centipede. Oops. And by half, I mean I think the centipede was in the cup. They drank half. They drank half the water in the centipede, and then they realized the centipede was in there. They got sick, but I don't know if that was actually because of the centipede. Also, there was this great comic once that I read. It was like you have two little worms and they got like a gift from God. And so God was like, what would you like? And they're both like, the first worm says legs. And the other one says, yes, legs. Then he's like, you have two more wishes. Like, or genie, it's a genie maybe. Two more wishes. What do you want? It's like, more legs. And then the other says, yes, more legs. And then they have more legs. Now they both have 100 legs, I think. And then it's like, well, your last wish, what do you want? And then the ex-worm destined to be a millipede goes, more legs, very excited. And then the other worm goes, teeth. And that one becomes a centipede. And I just think about that comic a lot, actually. Just the beauty and the joy on the millipede as it says it wants even more legs, and then the like evil on the centipede as he says he wants teeth.
This is the subject of my next video, which will be out on YouTube in a month or so. However, if you'd like to watch that video right now, you can access it a month in advance on Nebula, the sponsor of today's video. Now, many of you have heard me talk about Nebula before. It's the creator-owned platform with no ads, no algorithm, no clickbait, and phenomenal content.
All right, so all of that is still going to be accurate soon. I guess.
But this time is different. Nebula just underwent a massive overhaul to dramatically improve its UI to make Nebula's premium content easier to find.
Okay, so yeah, he's
easier to sort through.
On Nebula now. That's pretty cool. Good job, TierZoo.
Hey, look, it's the science category. And who's on top? That's right, it's my original series, Let's Play Outside.
Oh, that's really cool. Actually, this is why I'm watching this.
Individual lives of interesting animals, done in the style of a Let's Play live stream. One of the episodes I'm most proud of features the mantispid, a fascinating insect that has the characteristics of both a wasp and a mantis. How does it fare against other common garden insects? Well, you'll just have to check it out to see. I doubt many of you know this exists. It has been sort of hard to find on Nebula before, despite being exclusive to the platform. But now I really hope you give it a watch. One of the other new categories on Nebula is news, which I find really helpful given how complicated geopolitics tends to be lately. Specifically, they have this new current events show called The War Room, which is made by the same talented people behind real-life lore and modern conflicts. Much like how the monkey's intelligence helps it avoid being used as a pawn in the crow's plan, knowledge about the defining geopolitics of our time is important to know about so that you are not provoked into a battle that you don't understand.
Fair.
But on a more fun note, one show I've been really enjoying is Archaeology Quest, a show where scientists compete to see who can master the art of Paleolithic survival first.
Not the girl with purple hair, apparently.
If this all sounds good to you, you can sign up to Nebula using my link at nebula.tv/TierZoo, or use the link below, which supports me directly and gets you all this amazing content for 40% off if you choose the annual plan, which adds up to as little as $2.50 a month. Thank you all so much for watching, thanks again to Nebula for sponsoring this video, and as always, good luck out there.
Yay! I like that I've seen like half of those crow videos before because the algorithm knows me. And it's like, gee, you want to see videos about crows, right? I'm like, yeah. Yes, I do. I do want to see videos about crows. Thanks. That was fun. I enjoyed that video a lot, actually. Thank you so much for watching. And that was, again, a TierZoo video. Go ahead and show them some love on their channel. And also, this video is going up pretty soon after it was posted on his channel. So that nebula thing, that's going to be up still. This is the latest video on the channel, so... I hope you enjoyed. If there's anything specific you want me to look at next, go ahead and tell me in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe here if you want to see more stuff like this. See ya in the next one.